So today we are going on a deep dive specifically for you. We want to decode why a relaxing evening drink turns into this shaky, panic-filled morning reality.
And crucially, why you almost certainly blame yourself for a biological process that is honestly entirely out of your control.
Yes, I really want to dig into the mechanics of that trap today. We're looking at some really fascinating research and insights from Susan Gast. She runs a platform called Live Better Sober, and she comes at this from a very personal angle.
She really does. She quit drinking at 37, has been sober since 1998, and her whole mission is looking at the actual lived experience of that morning panic, which people often call hangxiety.
Hangxiety, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a perfect word for it. She breaks down exactly why it happens and how to interrupt the cycle without the shame.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can even touch the psychological guilt, we really have to talk about the physical hardware.
Right, the biology.
Yeah. We have a culture that treats a glass of wine or a beer as like this magic eraser for stress. You have a drink, your shoulders drop, the day melts away. But that's a complete illusion, isn't it?
It is entirely an illusion. I mean, the sensation of relaxation feels real in the moment, sure, but the mechanism behind it is completely misunderstood by most people.
Because it's not actually erasing anything.
Exactly. Alcohol does not erase stress. It is a central nervous system depressant. It artificially suppresses your brain's activity by mimicking a neurotransmitter called GABA.
GABA. Okay, and that's the calming one. Right. GABA is the chemical responsible for making you feel calm and slowing down your neural pathways. But at the exact same time, alcohol suppresses glutamate.
And glutamate is what?
It's your brain's primary excitatory neurotransmitter. It's the chemical that keeps you alert, awake, and energized.
Okay, wow. So it's a double whammy. It's aggressively turning up the dial on the calm chemicals and basically shutting off the alert chemicals.
That is exactly what's happening.
I was trying to visualize this when reading the source material, and it feels a lot like driving a car and suddenly realizing you've left the heavy parking brake on.
Yeah.
The alcohol is that parking brake.
That analogy captures the biology perfectly, actually. When you apply that parking brake, the car slows down. But your brain is this highly evolved machine that is constantly striving for homeostasis.
Which is just a fancy word for baseline balance, right?
Yeah, exactly. Balance. So your brain registers that your systems are slowing down way too much. To keep you functioning and breathing, your brain effectively presses the gas pedal down to the floor.
Oh, wow. So it's fighting the brake.
Actively fighting it. It ramps up the production of glutamate and stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline just to overcome the resistance of the alcohol brake.
Meaning your body's in a state of high stress in real time, even while you feel relaxed. But then, a few hours pass, the alcohol gets metabolized and leaves your system.
And this is exactly where the crash happens. The parking brake is suddenly released because the alcohol is gone.
But the gas pedal is still floored.
Yes, your brain still has the gas pedal completely to the floor, so suddenly your nervous system is just flooded with stimulating excitatory chemicals, but there is zero alcohol left to suppress them.
So your engine just revs completely out of control.
That is the biological rebound, and physically it manifests as a racing heart, shallow breathing, restless legs, and just an overwhelming sense of panic.
Which brings us right back to that very specific 3:14 a.m. wake-up call. Because it always seems to happen in the dead of night. It's never like a gentle awakening at 8 a.m. Why is the timing so horribly predictable?
What's fascinating here is that it comes down to a math equation, basically. It's how long it takes your liver to process the alcohol, combined with how alcohol completely destroys your sleep architecture.
Right, because passing out isn't the same as sleeping.
Not at all. When you go to sleep after drinking, you are sedated. You are not resting. Alcohol initially blocks REM sleep, which is the deep restorative phase where you process emotions.
So you're missing out on the most important part of sleep.
Exactly. And then after about 4 to 5 hours, as the alcohol leaves your bloodstream, your brain experiences what we call REM rebound.
Meaning it frantically tries to catch up on all the dream sleep it missed.
Yes, but it is doing so while that biological rebound of stress hormones is peaking.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
It literally is. You are hit with intensely vivid, often stressful dreams and a massive flood of adrenaline. So you wake up physically exhausted because you haven't had true sleep, but your nervous system is screaming that you are in a high alert survival situation.
Okay, so I'm lying in the dark, my neurotransmitters are completely out of whack, and my biology is just sounding the alarm. But I find this next part so fascinating. The brain doesn't just logically accept that this is a chemical imbalance, does it?
No, not at all. It scrambles to invent a story to justify the physical sensation of panic.
Because it needs a reason for why the heart is racing.
Right. The brain is a meaning-making machine. If the amygdala, which is your brain's threat detection center, is firing off signals saying we are in danger, your conscious mind immediately starts looking for the predator.
But you were just lying in your bed. There's no physical threat in the room.
Exactly. So it starts scanning your recent memory instead. It looks at the text you sent your boss or like the joke you made at dinner, and it suddenly decides that is the mortal threat.
That is so wild. It just picks a random interaction.
Yeah, that desperate search for context is what creates the profound emotional distortion of hangxiety. Susan Gast details these symptoms so clearly in her work.
The paranoia, the fear of judgment.
The absolute dread of checking your phone. Your emotional skin is just completely peeled back. Minor interactions that you would normally brush off suddenly feel like catastrophic, life-ruining mistakes.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. You can wake up certain something is terribly wrong, even when absolutely nothing significant happened the night before.
Oh, absolute.
Like you could have literally sat on your own couch, watched a documentary alone, had a few drinks, gone to bed, and still woke up feeling this immense guilt, like you're just a terrible person.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that solitary scenario proves the point beautifully. The guilt isn't born from your actions. It is born from your altered brain chemistry.
Because the stress hormones are just raging.
Yes, and your mood regulation is completely offline. Gast emphasizes a concept here that is so critical for anyone experiencing this. She says, the feelings are incredibly real and physically taxing, but the fearful conclusions your anxious brain is drawing are almost certainly false.
The feelings are real, but the conclusions aren't. Just knowing that seems like it would take a little bit of the sting out of the morning. You know, you can just look at your racing heart and say, okay, this is just glutamate. This isn't because I'm a failure.
It gives you a little bit of distance from the panic, for sure.
But I'm struggling with this next part. Because if I wake up feeling like absolute garbage, and the anxiety is that punishing, why on earth does my brain tell me that pouring another drink tonight is a good idea? It feels like a massive design flaw.
It feels completely illogical to the conscious mind, but to the primitive parts of the brain that govern habits, it makes perfect, ruthless sense.
Really? How so?
Well, you are caught in a neurochemical loop. The intense anxiety and exhaustion of the morning crash leave your nervous system completely frayed all day. By the time 5 p.m. rolls around, you are carrying a massive amount of accumulated stress.
Oh, I see. So the body remembers that alcohol acts as that heavy parking brake.
Precisely. It remembers the temporary relief. The basal ganglia, which is the part of the brain responsible for habit formation, operates on a very simple cue, routine, reward structure.
Cue, routine, reward.
Okay. The cue is the overwhelming stress of the day. The routine is the evening drink. And the reward is that initial flood of artificial calm.
But wait, if someone knows this cycle ends in a full-blown panic attack at 3 a.m., isn't continuing to do it just a lack of discipline?
Yeah.
I mean, I hear people all the time framing this as a failure of willpower.
This raises an important question, and it's something we really need to clarify. Framing this as a willpower failure is the most destructive misconception out there.
It's not about willpower at all.
No. Gast's work thoroughly dismantles this idea. Willpower relies on the prefrontal cortex, which is the logical decision-making part of the brain. But repeated evening drinking literally rewires your reward pathways.
It changes the brain physically.
Exactly. The brain actually starts releasing dopamine, the chemical of desire and anticipation hours, before you even have the drink.
Wait, really? So by like 3 p.m., my brain is already anticipating the 6 p.m. relief?
Yes. The neural pathway becomes a superhighway. When you repeat the pattern of stress, drink, relief hundreds or thousands of times, it bypasses conscious choice entirely. Your brain is running an automated background script.
It's on autopilot.
Completely on autopilot. It prioritizes the immediate guaranteed relief of the first sip over the delayed abstract consequence of the morning crash.
And because people don't understand that they are fighting an automated neurological habit, they make it incredibly personal, don't they?
They absolutely do.
They wake up shaking, they look in the mirror and they ask, what is wrong with me? Why am I so weak? They internalize a chemical reaction as a moral failing.
And the shame just compounds the anxiety. If you believe you are fundamentally broken, you feel even more stress, which, ironically, only strengthens the cue for the habit loop.
It just feeds the cycle.
Exactly. And we really have to factor in age here, as Gast notes in her resources. This physiological rebound doesn't stay static. It compounds over time.
Does it just get harder for the body to metabolize the alcohol as we get older?
That's part of it. Your liver enzyme production changes as you age, meaning alcohol stays in your system longer and is processed differently. But beyond that, your nervous system essentially loses its elasticity.
Like it can't bounce back as fast.
Right. The more times you compress that heavy spring and let it snap back, the more sensitive your neural pathways become to the disruption. So what might have been a mild sluggishness in your 20s transforms into a severe multi-day anxiety event in your 40s.
Okay, so we've established that the brain is essentially tricking us into this cycle, and the body is literally losing its ability to bounce back over time.
Yes, unfortunately.
So if I'm listening to this and I am actively in the middle of that morning after dread right now, what is the actual protocol? How do I get out of this without just, white-knuckling it?
The very first step is shifting out of self-judgment and into biology management.
Biology management, I like that.
You have to treat yourself like you are recovering from a physical injury, because neurologically, you are.
Gast has some very specific survival tactics for the morning after. And it starts with the absolute basics, which honestly feel impossible when you are nauseous and panicked. Hydration and food.
It sounds basic, but it's vital. Alcohol is a severe diuretic. It flushes water and essential nutrients out of your system, which places enormous physical stress on your organs.
And the brain reacts to that stress.
Exactly. When your organs are stressed, they send distress signals to the brain, which amplifies the anxiety. Rehydrating is non-negotiable, and eating stabilizes your blood sugar.
Because a blood sugar crash feels like anxiety.
A blood sugar crash mimics the exact physical symptoms of a panic attack. The shaking, the sweating, the racing heart. You have to address that physically.
She also heavily emphasizes B-complex vitamins on the site. I know a lot of people just think of vitamins as like general wellness stuff, but there is a very specific mechanical reason for this, isn't there?
It is entirely mechanical. Alcohol metabolism aggressively depletes water-soluble vitamins, particularly B1 or thiamine and folate.
Okay, and why does the brain need those?
Your brain relies on B vitamins as cofactors to synthesize neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and to maintain the myelin sheath, which is the protective coating around your nerves.
So alcohol is literally stripping away the exact building blocks my body needs to repair the nervous system and calm me down.
Yes. Taking a B-complex vitamin is literally providing the raw materials your brain needs to rebuild its baseline balance after you've chemically stripped it.
That makes so much sense. But beyond the physical triage, there is a psychological rule for the morning after that I think is just brilliant. Do not make major life decisions while your nervous system is in this state of rebound.
It is the concept of state-dependent thinking. When your brain is flooded with stress hormones, you view your entire life through a lens of fear and inadequacy.
Oh, for sure. Everything feels broken.
You will be tempted to send a long, emotional apology text for something no one else even noticed. You will consider quitting your job because you feel completely incapable. You will want to blow up your relationship.
Because I'm trying to control the external environment to fix this internal panic.
Yes. Your only job on these mornings is to remind yourself that your brain is lying to you. The anxiety will physically process out of your body over the next 24 to 48 hours. Just put the phone down. Do not alter the course of your life while under the influence of an artificial chemical rebound.
Okay, so that gets us through the immediate crisis of the morning.
Yeah.
But how do we stop the automated habit loop from just kicking in again at 5 p.m.?
That's the real work.
I was looking at the resources Gast offers on livebettersober.com, and she talks about this concept of somatic marker moments. She has a whole workbook on it, and it feels like the key to actually rewriting the brain's background script. What exactly is a somatic marker?
The term stems from neuroscience. It describes how our bodies physically store the memory of an emotional experience. Soma literally means body.
Right.
A somatic marker is a bodily sensation that becomes deeply associated with a specific memory or outcome.
Like when you touch a hot stove, your body remembers the physical shock of the pain, not just the logical idea that stoves are hot.
A perfect parallel. Right now, the drinker's brain has a very strong positive somatic marker associated with the evening drink. The feeling of the shoulders dropping, the heavy parking brake being applied. The brain remembers the relief.
But it doesn't remember the morning panic.
The morning after anxiety is awful, but because it happens hours later, the brain struggles to organically connect the action of drinking to the consequence of the panic.
Oh, wow. So we have to consciously bridge that gap for it. We have to make the memory of the 3 a.m. panic stronger than the anticipation of the 6 p.m. relief.
That is the core work of Gast's approach, which she expands on in her 66-day course on breaking the nightly habit. It isn't about shaming yourself. It is about retraining the basal ganglia.
Yeah.
You have to actively document the misery of the rebound in real time.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? If you have been secretly battling this cycle, feeling like you were losing your mind a little bit every single morning, the core empowering message here is this: you are not weak.
No, not at all.
The panic, the racing thoughts, the profound guilt that is just the mechanical reality of your nervous system trying to find its footing after being artificially suppressed.
Understanding that biology is what finally removes the shame.
No.
And when you stop spending all your energy blaming yourself, you finally have the bandwidth to observe the habit and actually change it.
Yeah, and if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, this mechanism we've been talking about, this constant swinging between artificial suppression and biological overstimulation, it really makes you wonder about the broader societal impact.
It's massive.
We live in a culture that completely normalizes and even celebrates using alcohol as our primacy tool for daily stress management.
It is the default coping mechanism for the modern world, without a doubt.
Exactly. So the source material brings up this really profound idea to chew on as we wrap up.
Yeah.
If millions of people are routinely suppressing their nervous systems every evening, and their brains are automatically compensating by flooring the gas pedal on stress hormones every morning,
What if this normalization of evening drinking is keeping an entire generation in a constant low-grade state of nervous system burnout?
right, just look around at your next happy hour or your next morning meeting. How much of the collective anxiety we see in society today isn't actually a response to the world, but simply the invisible biological rebound of how we're trying to cope with it?
It completely shifts how you view baseline stress, doesn't it?
It really does. It changes everything. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If decoding this biological loop resonated with you, I highly recommend exploring the insights and tools Susan Gast has put together at livebettersober.com.
It's an amazing resource.
It's a fantastic place to start rebuilding trust with your own nervous system. Take care of yourselves out there.